I'm Aryeh Schwartz, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. The end of the regular season is quickly approaching. The convos around the league are about playoff seeding. Who is a true contender? And if you're not in the playoff picture, then how to maximize the upcoming free agency craziness, the college draft, the expansion draft. This episode, we're going to get a little bit more specific, the Atlanta Dream. Joined this episode by Michael Waterloo to discuss, is this a grand dream season or a lucid dream? If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing Stats written content over at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. This season, we expanded our content on a variety of social media platforms. Make sure you're following Winsidr on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you like wearing your WNBA fandom, take a look at the show notes for our affiliate links. You can wear the top WNBA merch. You get to rock the W while helping Winsidr grow. And our last plug of the day, if you like WNBA podcasts, make sure you check out the Sideline Sisters wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back to the Winsidr Show. Excited to be here with my guest for this episode, part of the Winsidr team and the mastermind behind those awesome newsletter emails you've been receiving. Hopefully, shameless plug, you should be signing up. Michael Waterloo, how are you doing? What's going on? What's up? Did you wear your hat for me?
I did not. I just happened to have it sitting beside here, so I kind of put it on. It is an Atlanta Braves hat, and fitting since we're talking about the dream, but doing very very well. Coming up on the end of the season, and just really anticipating these playoffs and the playoff seeding. People are very excited down here in Atlanta with the great season that the Dream have had so far.
Well, let's kind of run down, set the stage, as it were. I won't get into like all the craziness. I'll let you do that in a moment. But the Dream are sitting in a three-way tie with Las Vegas and Phoenix. They're sitting right in the middle of those three, putting them in third place in the current league standings. They got swept in the regular season by Vegas. They swept Phoenix. Should also be noted that they did have the edge over the Minnesota Lynx in their season series 2-1. That one loss coming as a overtime dagger. That was a crazy, crazy game. They have 4 remaining games, probably 3 by the time this podcast comes out. So I apologize for that. Twice against Connecticut and twice against LA. Obviously, Connecticut not looking for a playoff spot. LA fighting tooth and nail, scratching, clawing through Venice Beach to just make it into that 8th playoff spot. Okay, so let's talk to me. What do you love? What do you hate about this Dream season so far? Like, you don't need to go into the full details of the roller coaster ride that this season has been, but kind of give me an overall encompassing thought about this team, however you want to take that.
One question we ask a lot of the players and Coach Smesco is just, what's one word to describe this team or this season? And they give a bunch of different ones. So I'll put myself in that position. The first thing that just comes to mind is fun, because it's a very, very, very fun team. When Carl Smesco was hired, there was the, Smesco ball. How's that going to translate over? And it's, I think something that's thought a lot of is that his offense is just 3-pointers. And don't get it wrong, there's a lot of threes, but it's more than that. It's just finding the best open shot that you possibly can. And his system really, really focuses on defense as well. And both of those elements kind of get lost. And we've seen that growth as the season's gone on. He's talked about it like, hey, a lot of these players, I think they're starting to get more comfortable with, like, we always want the spacing. We always want to look at our first read, our second read, our third read. But we want you to always fill up the gaps. We want you to always be moving. And there was one game particularly where Alicia Gray, she was just back cutting like crazy. And she was filling those gaps. He's like, I think Leisha's finally starting to get it. She's starting to pick up on the system and feel more comfortable knowing where those reads are, where she needs to be. And that's something that we've seen throughout the season with this team. And just makes it really, really fun because, like you said, there's 4 games left in the season and they're still implementing this system that Bree Jones told us at the beginning of the year is one of the most complicated things she's ever learned in her entire life. And it's just very, very fun to watch. And it's fun to watch kind of the benefits be there too, because beginning of the season, a lot of people picked the Dream to finish 7th in the league, and here they are sitting, top 3, top 4 right now. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of watch this Mesco era kick off, and the players love it too because they love shooting those threes.
I'm gonna name drop right now. Speaking with Brandy Poole a while back early on in the season, uh, I forget if she said this to the quote that I got out of it, I forget how I got it, but was just wait. Just wait. I know you have your questions about BG and Bree Jones. I know you have your questions about how this team's going to look with the 3-point onslaught you're about to witness, but give it time. Just wait and see. And we're going to get into that in a moment because there was a very elegant, poignant tweet. I think maybe it was even an excerpt from an article that came from a New York Liberty reporter recently about that kind of, you know, this concept that I always rack my head around that I struggle with throughout the season of, you know, what we've seen up until this point in the season. Is that the team, or are they still going through that learning curve, that learning process? And while it can be applicable to a variety of different teams in the league, I think the Atlanta Dream are the team that I have, banged my head against the wall so much trying to understand this team. Let's start with the positives. What do you think the biggest strength of this Atlanta Dream team is?
Biggest strength of it, I think, is just their versatility because they do have the Bree Jones and BG fit, like you said, at the beginning of the year. We saw that they were attempting more threes, especially BG, and Bree was extending it too, because that's kind of what this system calls for. But they kind of got more comfortable just kind of being those rim runners and those spacers and letting Bree Jones do Bree Jones things. So I think just being able to have that flexibility where you can bring in players like Tahina Pow Pow off the bench and not really miss a beat. You can bring people in like Nas Hillman and be able to kind of give the defense a different look. And then you'll get random contributions from Nia Coffey, Shatori, Walker Kimbrough, just a lot of flexibility and versatility on this team. And I think that's what makes them so tough is that any single night, any person's starting lineup, it's like, good luck, you got to pick your poison. But we've also seen like whenever like the season Alicia Gray is having is just phenomenal. It's been great to watch. We've also seen those numbers dip quite a bit whenever Ryan Howard's out because defense are able to focus more on her. But being able to have a fully healthy team, have all of them out there, and plus not have any kind of real drop off the bench, is just kind of a really, really big bonus for them. Carlos Mesco said after the last game at home, not against Connecticut, but in their win over Dallas, that, hey, we have Nas and Bree starting, and then you have to go from Bree to BG out there. Good luck. And it's one of those things that they just really found the perfect fit for the system in trying to get these players to fit within their system, but also realizing like, hey, our best look may not be Bree or BG trying to attempt 3 or 4 threes per game, but we know we're able to kind of cover our base in these other ways. So just being able to bring that group together has been huge for them.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you talk about this team. I mean, versatility, no question. The ability to, I'll say this Atlanta Dream team, like the setup for this team, if you are a selfish player, if you are a me first player, this is the last place you want to be because yeah, there's a couple players that like you're going to be a starter no matter what. Fine, Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, fine, cool. But like if it fits better to start BG over Bree Jones, no, it hasn't been exactly a common thread this season, but that's going to happen. And that's the versatility that they have. If they need a little bit more speed, you can talk about Canada, or if you need a little bit more 3-point punch, you can go Pow Pow. If you need a little bit more versatility size, you can go this like Nas, Coffee. Like there's so many Swiss Army knives. And then there's not only Swiss Army knives, but then players who fit a specific role and positional style. They truly, truly do have the ability to put out a different, like, I know New York Liberty, I think it's probably the Liberty, or maybe it's a different team who have like put out the most minutes of different starting lineups throughout this season. Maybe Dallas has gotten up there now, maybe Chicago has, or maybe Indiana has, but like it feels like that is never the plan for those other teams. It plays into the plan for Atlanta because they have the ability, excuse me, to truly match whatever opponent they're going up against, which is why I thought it was crazy. People are like, oh yeah, they're a 7th seed going into the season. Like what are you talking about? They have so many aspects that we'll talk a little bit more in, but something that blew my mind when I was preparing for this, when I was looking at league leaders, the season leaders, right, was that of all of the main stats and points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, field goal percentage, steals, blocks, three pointers, 3-point percentage, fantasy points. I don't know why fantasy points is up there. Fine. No shade towards the fantasy players. Go win your money. Do your thing. There's only one Atlanta Dream player that ranks top 5. Excuse me, 2 Atlanta Dream players that rank top 5 in any of those stat categories, and it's in 3-pointers made. It's Alysia Gray with 93 sitting in 3rd place, and Ryan Howard sitting in 5th place with 85. So that speaks to the 3-point onslaught. That speaks to the team play and the team mentality, to me at least, of this roster and what we've been able to see. What do you think the biggest weakness is for this team?
I think the biggest weakness, and it's a very tough question because the team has been so good, but one thing that we've realized is like they are always susceptible to one big quarter per game. And whether that be letting the other team go off or them just not showing up. We saw a couple games ago, they scored 6 points in the third quarter against Vegas. That tied for the lowest scoring total of the season, where they scored 6 points like in the fourth quarter against Minnesota, which they ended up losing that game by 4 points, I believe it was. So there's a lot of close games that they're still trying to figure out how can we be those closers. And you see that a lot with young teams. Beginning of the season, there was the one game, I think it was the Mystics versus the Aces, where they were up and the Mystics were up and the Aces just kept coming back, come back, come back. They closed. There was another game. It was Connecticut versus, I can't remember who they played, maybe Minnesota. And they were up, and then Minnesota closed. You see that with young teams a lot, where like, hey, the veterans know no mo is too big. There's plenty of time. We're able to get through this. We can close. The young players, they're still getting used to this. And the Dream have that interesting, they have a first year head coach. They have their first big rookie really since Ryan Howard was here, who's playing major minutes. But they have a team that's just really filled out with veterans, people who have been there before. So it's really kind of weird to watch these kind of spurts where it's like, all right, hey, this game's going to get close again, even against Dallas, where they had Page and respectfully a bunch of people they just kind of signed just to kind of make sure that they could fill out a team. Kristen Williams came in that day so they could have 8 players on the court that night.
It
And
wasn't
you
the
see,
Dallas Wings. It was Page and Co.
yes,
It's like when an old classical band is like, Paige Becker's and the Wings.
yes, that's exactly what it was. It was Paige Beckers and everybody else here playing for Dallas. And she was sick. She was really sick that game, but she had to dress because they had to get the 8 people. But you even saw like them start fluctuating. It's like, okay, they lost this first quarter against Cage and Co. How is this happening? Or against Vegas, where they scored those 6 points. So they're always susceptible to those performances. And it seems to be every other game you're seeing one of those. And Smesko realizes it, he knows it. And he's like, when we get to the playoffs, we can't afford this. We can't afford this happening because anything could happen in a short series. And if you're giving one of those games away, you're giving the series away. So I think you still just need to see that consistency from them, especially on the defensive end, because they're kind of just not executing when they need to. And the saying is, you live by the three, you die by the three too. And that's a lot of the stuff too. We've seen them shoot 16% in the game from three. And it's just when you're attempting 33s per game, if you're not on it, good luck winning. You're not gonna be able to come back from that. So those are kind of the two areas that I've really noticed. But yeah, as far as like the Swiss Army and people knowing the roles, they all know it, they all get it. And yeah, they realize they have to kind of shore up those things as the season winds down here.
And looking at it from a team perspective, to kind of float what I was saying before a little bit more in all those stat categories, they're a top 5 team in all those. They're leading in rebounds per game, top 5 in points, top 5 assists, field goal not field goal percentage, steals per game. Sorry, not steals per game, blocks per game, 3-pointers made, 3-pointer. Like they have the team stats that are looking so good when so often, right? You dive into the individual player stats and it's like, okay, where are they ranking? Where are they ranking? Then you dive into the team stats and you're like this team is doing Minnesota Lynx compared to last year, where it was like, yeah, Fee's doing amazing things. They have players doing amazing things, but it is this collective as a unit that has been so impressive, so fun to watch. And I'm glad that you brought that up because late game execution, I have it bold and underlined as my biggest weakness in my mind. And it kind of really, in my mind, feeds into my overall take on the dream. I'm going to lay it out for you. And then I want your overall take on the dream. This team's really good, almost has the right makeup for a championship roster. And the reason I say almost is here's my issue. When you talk about championships, you got to have that player who knows how to get it done, who's been there before. And I question if they have that. Yes, you have Brittany Griner, who's won championships, Jordan Canada, who's won championships and have won it all. Both played complementary roles in those championship wins. That's not a knock against them. They played extremely important complementary roles, but they were not the star. It wasn't Brianna Stewart. It wasn't Diana Taurasi at the time. Yes, Alycia Gray's having an amazing season, and she has been part of a collegiate winning. And was she part of the 3-on-3 way back? I feel like she won something 3-on-3 back. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
gold
Yeah,
medal or
she
something
was.
like that.
Yes.
So they have that success, but not in the WNBA pro sphere. Now, Ryan Howard doesn't even have that success in college, in her collegiate career. Amazing career, has done amazing things, is a superstar in this league, can catch fire and just torch a whole town. And then coach Carl, great coach, should be up there in my opinion. It's a 2-horse race for coach of the year. It's between Nakase and Carl. Like, to me, that's it. We can argue about, Carl has the better roster, back and forth. Fine. Two different arguments, two different ways to skin a cat, whatever the phrase is. Amazing. But again, the big show winning doesn't have that experience. Maybe I'm wrong from my understanding, hasn't won an NCAA tournament championship. On the other hand, because I love to argue with myself, you look at this roster like we talked about. You have the size of BG and Bree Jones. The flash and pizzazz of Ryan Howard, the consistency of Jordan Canada and Alycia Gray Canada when she can get on the court, the depth of Naz Pow, the great Minnesota product of Nia Coffey, a legendary Minnesota athlete and sports family. And we've said this all year long. This roster has all the tools to match any team. But the big question I keep asking myself, anybody who will listen to me talk, is kind of, what is this team? And I hinted at this earlier. And I'm just going to read this quote from Lucas Kaplan that he had a tweet about the New York Liberty, because I just thought this did such a good job of explaining the back and forth fight that I have in my head about teams during the season, specifically about this team. Perhaps there will be another parade down Canyon of Heroes when the weather turns brisk. But as of their loss to the Golden State Valkyries on Tuesday night, the 2025 WNBA season seems to have beaten the New York Liberty into submission. They don't have it. Anything short of a miracle will not allow this team to sustain excellence over a month of playoff basketball. As one of the most talented rosters, you could hope to assemble that, and it didn't happen. New York lost to the Valkyries on Tuesday, and part of it was a subpar decision-making, but blah, 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 and it goes on. And that is kind of the ongoing debate that I cannot, who is this Atlanta Dream team? Is it the Atlanta Dream team that can compete with the best teams in this league for 3.5 quarters? Or is it the Atlanta Dream team that inevitably seems to fall apart in those last 5 minutes of a game? Maybe it happens at a different point, but that late game execution is the part that just drives me crazy. And so for me, I have to take a step back and look at the culmination of this whole season, and I go, this has to be who they are. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. This team wasn't built to win a championship this year. They have the ability, and I understand the uncertainty of the league moving forward with free agency, 80% of the league being expansion drafts, all of this. But I have to think that this looks like a team that will be poised to win a championship if this roster can stay together next year or 2 years from now, because they still have some more growth to happen. What is your overall take on this team?
The team reminds me a lot of that first New York Liberty team who went and lost to the Aces in the WNBA finals. And you just kind of see that and you're like, this team's a year away. And we see that in sports all the time. If you want to do the men's equivalent, you see that with Oklahoma City Thunder. You see with the Houston Rockets, where you see this team, you're like, this team is going to be damn good, but they may not be ready for prime time yet. And that's kind of where I fall with them. I think that I don't yeah, what's so great about the league right now is that you look at any of the teams who are going to make the playoffs, and you can make a case for any single one of those. Like, I do not want to play that team. I do not want to play that team. And I think toward the top of that list is the Dream, because people just know when they're on, they are on. They are going to run you out of the building. They are going to shoot you out of the building. Ryan Howard is going to be a block machine. She became the first player in WNBA history to have 6 blocks in a game and also 6 3-pointers in a game. So like they have that versatility and that ability just to kind of beat anybody, but anybody also includes themselves. And we see with the late game meltdowns that they have, whenever they go down, instead of running their systems, Ryan's going ISO ball and just kind of putting up terrible shots. We see them kind of get in their own head where they lose to the Aces, a team that Alicia Gray takes so personal, it just wants to beat, that the following day they don't hold media sessions because they're still kind of reeling from it. Like, so there's a lot of growth and maturity that still has to happen there. But I think this team is a team that nobody wants to face in that first round or the second round. Like, they're going to be tough out. I looked yesterday, they had the second best odds to win the WNBA finals. So like,
Ooh.
if you want to go with Vegas always knows. Like, Minnesota, the prohibitive favorite, but then right after that is the Atlanta Dream right above Vegas. So it's a team that can beat anybody in a series, a short series, a long series, but they have to kind of play that collective ball and not have those late game collapses. But to your point, we have 40 games of data right now, and we've seen this is kind of who they are. They're still having these issues late into the season. What could benefit them? They have 4 games left against Connecticut, 2 against Connecticut, 2 to Los Angeles. Instead of prepping nonstop for all these new teams that are coming down, they get just to focus on them. They get to focus out, like ironing out those little issues that they have had. They had those 2 really, really, really long road trips where it's 2 6-game road trips. They played 2 home games in a month and a half. Like, it was just absolutely bananas. So it gives them that ability to just be able to kind of plan for the playoffs, plan for the little wrinkles that they have to do, and say, what are we doing here with this like late game execution? It's a team that is working hard, that is locked in, that is fully understands the assignment, that is very unselfish. We asked BG about coming off the bench, and she's like, if we win, I do not care. I'm here to win. That's what I want to do. That's what everybody knows. We asked Shatori about her role on the team because it's been rather small. And she's like, this reminds me of 2019 Mystics team. It's the bench mob. We're able to come in there, kind of fill those big roles, and everybody knows what they're doing. So they talk the talk, but they kind of need to walk the walk. And they've showed in those pressure situations, they haven't really quite been able to do that yet.
Okay, here's where it gets fun. Let's talk playoffs. As
Yes.
we stand currently, we have Atlanta at number 3, which means in the first round of the playoffs, they'd take on the Golden State Valkyries. A very interesting matchup. They won the head-to-head series this season 2-1, only 3 games, compared to Seattle Storm, where they split it 2-2. I did not bring up Indiana, so I don't have that directly in front of me. But obviously, as I look at this, I kind of think to myself, okay, first round, these are what the matchups would be as we sit today. Again, when the podcast comes out, it could be completely different. So you'll see what I'm about to do. Minnesota's taking on Indiana Fever. Seattle's taking on Vegas. Those will be some interesting matchups. Obviously, Indiana won the Commissioner Cup over Minnesota in Minnesota. Seattle and Vegas have some storylines there. We don't need to get into it. It's not a Seattle or Vegas episode. But then the Valkyrie versus the Atlanta Dream. And I'm curious, as we look there, if they were to win that, right? That's a 3-6. They move on then to take on the 2 or the 7. As you sit there, what's a matchup Atlanta wants in that first round? What's a matchup that maybe they don't want in that first round? Obviously, we're typically talking about Valkyrie, Storm. Heck, maybe the Liberty drop back a little bit. That's a possibility. But as you look at, Liberty, Valkyrie, Storm, and fine, we can throw in the Fever there if we really want to, even though they're a little bit out of there. Who do you think is the ideal matchup for Atlanta? Like, who do they want and who don't they want?
I think the ideal one is, and I've been saying this a lot, like you said, talking to whoever will listen to me. I think the matchup that they want is Golden State and Indiana. Those are the 2 teams that they want right now. And It's crazy because we know how insane Valhalla is in that environment, and having to go out there and win a game, it's going to be tough. But that's where you have to rely on your own home crowd. And that Golden State defense is so fantastic. That interchangeability that they have. They just signed Liz Kitley as well, who's going to be going out there joining the team. And they can do any single mismatch, mixed match of players out there and just kind of be in your face. Sub off could go on. But that's also the team that I feel like they have the best chance as far as just the talent differential that can't match up with them. Their best player, Kayla Thornton's out for the year with a knee injury. She's not there. Mo Billings is just coming back. And trust me, their players, Mo Billings, Tip Hayes, Letitia Meher, when they came back to Atlanta, there was a stretch where they scored like 22 with their first like 30 points. Like they take that personal. Mo
Oh
Billings
yeah.
always plays Atlanta like a chip on her shoulder. So there is going to be those interesting matchups. But just as far as like that talent level, I don't think they're going to be able to kind of compete with them. And then the same thing with the Fever because of all the injuries that they've had. We don't know the status of Caitlin Clark. That's kind of the big, hey, we don't know what's going on here, but we also have no Sophie Cunningham. We also have no Aryeh McDonald. We also have no Sid Colson. So those are the teams that I think that they'll want to face. They won't ever say that because any team that gets to the playoffs is a great team with great players. We know Coach. So those are the two teams that if I'm there and I'm behind closed doors, I'm like, these are the ones that we want to face. Ideally, we would not want to position ourselves to face Vegas in the second round. So they've had our number all year, but that is kind of what it is. You're going to have to beat the best team to win a championship anyway. But the team I cannot get out of my head that I don't want to face. I mean, the Liberty definitely, but I don't know if you're a Simpsons fan, but there's a Simpsons meme
Love
that
the
says
Simpsons.
"Stay the line, Bart. Stay the line, Bart." And to me, it's just like I still feel like the Seattle Storm can win the championship, and I cannot get off of that thought, even though they've been absolutely dreadful since the All Star game. I think lost 10 of 16, something like that, off the top of my head. But that collection of players there, and maybe they're older, maybe they like Noel Quinn has just run them into the ground. I don't know, but I just look at it and I'm like, they can't be this bad. It's a team that scares me in a series so much whenever you have that up and down throughout the lineup. Is just like they remind me a lot of the Dream. Like pick your poison. Who do you want to kind of beat you tonight? I don't think they have the depth of the Dream, but those starters there, they can go basket for basket with anybody. Skylar Diggins, whenever she's always motivated. We know how the way she plays out there. Not the way I
She's got to
want.
have the messy bun. That's it.
She got to have the messy bun. Yes. I actually did an article about that for my newsletter about
Nice.
do they storm. What's the record when she plays with messy bun or not a messy?
That's amazing.
The findings will surprise you. But and then the way that they've unleashed Dominique Malonga too over the past 3 weeks, it's just like, hey, this 19-year-old, yes, she's raw, but she can compete right now, as we're seeing. So that's the team I think if you talk to them that they're like, we do not want to face them. Vegas, good luck with them. And whichever one of you two like just make it a full series so that the other team's tired out so that we have the fresher legs whenever we miss the second round.
Yeah, totally. No, I'm with. It's so funny. I've been saying this a lot. I hate the 2021 Chicago Sky, not because of anything other than they have sowed so much doubt into my mind, and I think WNBA minds around the world because they did the unthinkable. They went with a 500 record. We knew they had the talent to compete. They did not show it during the regular season. The stars aligned and they made that run. And so we look at, a New York Liberty team this year and we're like, well, 2021 did it. Chicago Sky did it. You look at a Seattle Storm team, you go, 2021 Chicago Sky did it. Right. And so it really starts to percolate and you start to question yourself and you start to get into these long debates of I could see it. I'm out, like I'm at the point where maybe I'll regret it. I'm out on Seattle. I'm out on New York. I think it's just done. Maybe something could streak together and get going. But I mean, I'm holding out. I'm like you with Seattle, but with New York. Like I'm holding out hope that New York still has that, even though like the problem is everything that's been happening to Seattle and New York has been falling into like what I predicted. But I'm just waiting for like what I said in the beginning of the season. But I'm waiting for it to be wrong because I'm not right about this stuff. So like, come on, let's go not. But yeah, so that's really interesting. Then we can move on to the second round, and that would just get even more diabolical and crazier. Any final thoughts for Atlanta Dream fans as they prepare for this playoffs the history of first year head coaches in the W for Atlanta really doing a great job during the season and or playoffs has not been lost on me thinking back to Nikki Collin. And I'm curious for you, what are your parting words as the Atlanta Dream faithful? Is there a term like for there's the X Factor of the Mercury fans, the Storm crazies, or is there a term for the Atlanta Dream fans? And if not, I think we might have to start working on coining one.
I don't think there is one. It's a game day at the runway because it's right by the airport. There's the old Outcast ate the alien, so like you could go
Okay.
with that, but there isn't really one. It's also the only team without a mascot right now. So they don't really have that name, that fan base, but they need one. And I think the parting words I'd give to those Atlanta Dream fans, I don't know what we want to call them right now, but is just enjoy it because, their last home playoff game, I believe, was 2018. I think that was the last time that they had a home playoff game because before this year, remember, not every playoff game was guaranteed a home game.
Hmm.
So, like the past 2 years at least, like they lost in the first round to New York and they lost in the first round to Dallas the year before that. So they just haven't gotten those games. So fans are able to kind of go there and turn up at the Gateway Center Arena and just kind of be there. The fans are great. They're ready for it. And it's just, you know, look at it as a marathon, not a sprint. And it's just like this team, just because like they may not win it this year, they may win it this year. They very may win it this year. They have the
Hmm.
team that can do it. But if they don't, that doesn't mean this season was a failure. It means like, hey, this is something that's fantastic to build on as the Dream get ready to announce their plans for a new arena and a new training facility and kind of get out of the very small arena, which is great because it's very intimate, but like it's also like ready for it to expand. It makes Atlanta more of a destination place. Whenever you have that winning culture in place, whenever you see people like BG come here and Bree Jones because they want to win, two people who have been winners in the past, Jordan Canada, who's been a winner in the past, seeing Ryan and Alicia Gray being here and just kind of thrive. It kind of sets that expectation. So just enjoy the run, enjoy it because the playoffs are never ever guaranteed. You see the New York Liberty, they won their first championship last year after 25 years. Like these things can take a long time. So just kind of like take any success that you have and just cherish it. Hold them high, hold the expectations high, call them out whenever there's a challenge that's obvious and Smesco doesn't challenge it, or like Rye puts up a shot 2 minutes into the shot clock instead of, I mean, 2 seconds into the shot clock instead of like running the offense. Call that out, but also realize it's basketball. This is fun. And, winning basketball is a lot of fun. So just sit back and enjoy it.
Love it. Well, those parting words. Have a good one. We'll be back.